Hey guys, I was gonna upload a vlog tonight, but I don't know. I just felt like I wanted to talk to you um, and be personal about something that has affected me for pretty much my whole life. And here's a little backstory. Um, when I was in fourth grade, I was sorry. I was diagnosed with ADHD and was put on medication for that. And for years, it just, for 2 years, I think I was on Ritalin, and it didn't do anything. And I was still getting bad grades in school and just getting in trouble. And it wasn't until I was much, much older that my doctor had told me that I was probably misdiagnosed and that I was actually depressive bipolar. And so for years, it went undiagnosed. I wasn't on any kind of medications. And I was just really, really depressed all throughout middle school, middle school, and high school, junior high, all that. It was a pretty dark time for me in my life. So I was bullied quite a bit for being gay. It was mostly names. There was one time it was physical, but it was names, and it bothered me a lot. I used to cry at night all the time and come home and cry to my mom, and it bothered me. I mean, it hurt really bad. You know, when you're a nice person and you're sensitive as it is, names affect you and bullying affects you. And I was very suicidal. Now, in high school, I never, I'm sorry, I'm just not with it today. As I was saying, I was never, I never acted on those suicidal tendencies while I was in high school. Um, because I just figured that it would get better. And maybe my depression was because of the bullying. But as I got older, the depression just got worse. Um, Sorry, this is a touchy subject for me. When I was about 21, 22 years old, I went to my first inpatient crisis unit for a severe mental break and mental status change. And that was when I got my first diagnosis of being bipolar and depressive and being on the verge of being an alcoholic. The doctor said I was drinking too much. So I stayed in there for a week. The place was horrible. As a lot of mental health facilities across the United States, it was very underfunded, and they just lumped a lot of people in there that really should have been separated. You had your severely mentally handicapped people in there, along with people that needed crisis intervention, and it was just bad. It really didn't help at all. And it really didn't help me. And they set me up with therapy and counselors. And I went for a little bit, but I stopped. And I stopped taking my medicine because, as a lot of people that suffer with bipolar depression, when you're up there and you are on a high, you feel good. You feel like you don't need your medicine and you don't need your doctors. And so sometimes we stop, and that's when it starts going bad again. And so for probably 2 or 3 more years, I went without medicine, without going to my therapist, and it got bad. This is, at this time, the lowest I had ever been. I was not bathing. I quit my job on impulse. I was broke. I'd spent all my money on impulse. People with bipolar disorder a lot of times have impulse control. And that was my thing, was money and jobs and stuff like that. And I just laid in bed and I cried and I cried and I cried. And I asked God, why was this happening to me? Why was I, being punished? And why was he making me feel like this? Was there a reason for it? Did I do something? And it was at this point that I really started contemplating suicide. And that was when my stepmom at the time, she passed away. I love her, bless her. But my stepmom at the time convinced me to take myself to the emergency room and commit myself into inpatient unit. And so again, here I was being admitted into inpatient unit for bipolar disorder and depression. I went from the hospital to this place called the Bridgeway in Little Rock, and it was amazing. The doctors were great, the nurse, the staff, they didn't lump everybody. It was good, but it still didn't help, as much as I expected it to. And I got out. I was on my medicine for a while. I was doing really, really good. And again, I got off my medicines. And it just got bad. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse. So another 2 or 3 years pass, and I am not on medicines and not doing anything to really help the symptoms. And I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. And it started hitting me hard again. I had moved into another state, about 5 hours away from my hometown. The only family I had was my brother. We were fighting, and I was lonely. I had 1 or 2 friends who I really didn't see that much there. I had no vehicle. I mean, it was bad. My room was just disgusting. It was a mess. I was a mess. I was not clean. I was not healthy. I was not happy. And I I lost my job there. I had working for Amazon, and I lost my car, and I moved back in with my mom, and that was when I went to my third and my last, hopefully my last inpatient unit back in my hometown of Jonesboro. So at this time, it helped. I stayed on my medicine for a while, and I was feeling really good, and I still feel good, but I'm not on medicine regularly now, and I kind of feel, my depression is kind of starting to flare up a little bit. My bipolar disorder, I'm starting to have more downs, and it's important to catch it early on and to know that you have a problem. It's okay to admit that you have a problem. Mental health is something to not joke about. It's very serious. And in our society today, it is so stigmatized, and it shouldn't be. You shouldn't feel ashamed for wanting to seek help. A lot of people to this day suffer with self-harm, and suicide is still a major issue in this country to this day. And I guess that's why I'm making this video. I want people to know that everyday people suffer from it. It's normal. It's really not a big deal. It happens. People get it. Just remember, get help. Talk to somebody. If you're having those problems, if you're having homicidal, suicidal, self-harm thoughts, get help. Talk to somebody before it's too late, because suicide, my stepmom always told me when I was feeling down, she would always tell me that suicide is a long-term fix for a temporary problem. And when she told me that at the time, I, just felt like this is a long-term problem. It's not temporary. But let me tell you, almost all of our problems are temporary problems. They're only here for a season. And things get better, You have to work and make them better. They don't get better on their own. But things get better. Exponentially better. I would not have ever imagined that I would have a nice new car and my own house and furniture that I bought. And, I would have never imagined that. And I would have never gotten to this point in my life if I would have killed myself. Think about what it does to those that you leave behind. Your mom, your dad, sisters, brothers, friends, family, For the rest of their life, they have to live with that. And it's painful because I deal with it. One of my really, really close friends killed herself. And it hurts. You sometimes wonder if maybe you had spoken out to them, or maybe if you would have said I love you or something, that maybe they would still be here. The regret eats you alive. But I just want to take the time to tell you that I love you. I don't know who you are. We have never met and we have never talked. But I love you. Somebody loves you. And you are not alone. And it always gets better. In the description, there will be links to my social media. And if at any time ever you need somebody to talk to, message me. I'm here for you and I will talk to you no matter when, no matter what I'm doing. If it is that serious, I will talk to you and we will get through this. I love you and I care for you. And on a brighter note, these angles, I'm in bed, I'm sorry. It's just, you cannot get a good angle when you're this big and in bed. But anyway, just know I love you. I've never met you, but I love you. Spread peace and happiness and joy throughout the world. Be a light in somebody's life. If you know somebody that needs help, help them. I will put the number for a number of resources down there. The Trevor Project, the Women's Crisis Hotline, Suicide Prevention Line, the hotline for soldier suicide thoughts, something for soldiers, military. I will put a lot of links, a lot of phone numbers down there for your use. Use them. Don't be afraid. It's all confidential. Remember that I love you, and I hope you have a wonderful night, a wonderful morning, whenever you're watching this, a great day. And you know what? I will see you tomorrow, maybe. Hopefully, I will see you. I love you. Good night.